Now, sometimes at work or in life, things don't go exactly how you expect them to go. And it can be very, very frustrating. But I wanted to show you a way to understand why things aren't working and the way that you can think your way around it. And in order to do that, I need to show you this fantastic model of how we actually act. It's from a branch of psychology called transactional analysis. That's a big word, transactional analysis. And what it's about is understanding how we communicate with people, particularly with our teammates, and the ego states that we do it in. Now, transactional analysis is a very useful form of psychology that you can use every single day. Let me show you how. So, to give you some background, we all operate in 3 different ego states. We operate in parent state, we operate in child state, and we also operate in adult state. Now, let me tell you a little bit about these states. When you're in parent state, what you're doing is you're listening to the stories that are going on in your head that your parents told you were true. You know, if your parents told you have clean underwear and have a hanky and, you know, hold the door out for girls, or whatever they told you, that's in your parent state. You're processing information and you're reacting in that state. Now, one of the problems with this is that it's quite old information. In my case, it's very old. My parent, you know, I was a child a long time ago. But for most of us, it's at least 20 years old information. And the problem with being in parent state is that you get into what's called automatic responses. You respond to people in an automatic way. For example, if you were a youngest child and your older brother always picked on you and, you know, he wouldn't let you watch the television, and as soon as there was a bit of conflict, your big brother jumped on you and rumbled you and hurt you or punched you in the arm or whatever he did, right? And like big brothers tend to do. Well, there's a script going on in your head. There's a story in your head saying, well, when I have some conflict with someone, they're going to jump on me and rumble me and hurt me. You know, and that's an automatic response. You would have an automatic response to that. Now, when you're doing these automatic responses, you're in parent state. You're not really present. You're responding as if, in a way, you're 20 years ago when your parents told you this is the way to do it. Now, the other state that we probably know quite a lot of is the child state. Now, the child state is really interesting because the child state is when you are in a state of emotion. Now, anytime you are in emotion, both good emotion and bad emotion, or resourceful emotion and unresourceful emotion, you're in child state. Now, just like a child who is highly emotional, this is not a state that you can make good decisions in. And if any of you are parents or have got someone that you've seen where you've had like a 3-year-old child having a complete tantrum at the shopping centre, think of that as the extreme version of child state. It's all about emotion. It's all about, just unresolved stories that you're telling yourself are true, that are all based on emotion. And that emotion can sometimes cloud the way you're thinking. And if you think of that 3-year-old child having a tantrum, they are unable to make good decisions or take responsibility. Now, the third ego state is what's called the adult state. Now, the adult state is a really interesting state because it's all about facts and data. It's about the problem that is in front of us right now. It's all about what's here and now, what we can measure, what we can see. It's only about facts and data. So they're the 3 ego states that we behave in. Now, we switch between these states all the time. You know, sometimes we're parent state, sometimes we're adult state, sometimes we're child state. The problem is when you're trying to get an outcome, when you're trying to achieve something, and if you are using a state or if you're in a state that is not resourceful to help you get the results that you want. Let me show you how this goes. So if we have a look at parent state, the information is very out of date. So what you end up with is going around and around in circles. So if you're trying to solve a problem from parent state, you're automatically responding, or you're working on, oh, we should do this, or you really ought to have that approach. And unfortunately, that's very out of date with the information that's at hand, and is sometimes not resourceful to helping you get where you want to go. Now, the next state, if we look at, is the child state. And as I said, when you're in high emotion, either good emotion or bad emotion. Now, I spoke about a child having a tantrum at the shopping centre. Well, that child absolutely can't make decisions, and they can't take responsibility. And but if you think about a child in high emotion running around there high on popcorn and jelly beans from the birthday party, they can't make good decisions or take responsibility either. So that's a good metaphor for when we're in child state, we can't make decisions and we can't take responsibility. When we're in parent state, we're attempting to make decisions based on information that's out of date, or where we're trying to do activities based on automatic responses. Automatic patterns, and they are not necessarily relevant to where we are right now. The only state that you can move forward on anything is the adult state. And the reason is because it's all about facts and data. So if we have a look at parent and child state, they are not resourceful for helping us get where we need to go. They are only resourceful in certain circumstances. You know, we don't want to say we never have emotion. We love to. Let's go out and party, have some emotion. We're in child state. When I'm surfing on my surfboard, I'm in child state. Or when I need to stop my children from running across the road, I'm in parent state. Stop running now. You know, there's no time for reasoning at that point. That's the right use of parent state. But if I operate and I'm trying to get an outcome at work or personally, and I'm operating in those two states, it's just not helpful. So they're the three states. Now, the really cool thing about the adult state is that it's all about self-assessment without emotion and without automatic responses. So when we think about, you know, when we're at work and we're trying to do something and it doesn't work, we often might drop into child state and get all emotional about it. Or we might go into parent state and think, well, we really ought to have a better this or that or the other. Neither of those are helpful. What we want to do is continually drop into adult state. What's the facts? What's the data? What's it telling me now? No emotion, no automatic responses, just look at the facts and data. What's really going on? And this is where we get to look at this very, very cool thing called the drama hook. Now, the drama hook is the tool that we use to find out what's really going on, and I'll show you about that in just a moment.